Thank you again, Amanda, for coming. We really appreciate your insight and your knowledge and all that you guys are doing out in Michigan. And the floor is yours. I'll be here to help you with the chat and the hang, but this is
Awesome.
your tea party now.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. I wish I was in person. That would be even more exciting. I'm in Michigan, and I work for Michigan Department of Education Low Incidence Outreach. Amanda English is my name. And I've been working for MDE-LIO for about 2 years now. Prior to that, I was a teacher for visually impaired and certified orientation and mobility specialist in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So some of you might be Broncos. Not sure if you went to Western, such as going through the blindness and low vision studies programs, things like that. But needless to say, Winnie and Adrian invited me to come join you and share with you about the independent living skills modules that we created at MDE-LIO. So I will get into that here real quick. And just to confirm, you can see my screen, correct, Winnie? Or Adrian?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Awesome. So while we go through this tonight, please don't hesitate to stop me, ask questions, ask for input, whatever you guys would like out of this, I want to be able to provide for you. I do have a full presentation, but whatever we get through is what we get through. So don't worry if we don't get through it all. Just want to make sure that you guys get out of it what you need. So we have some objectives for today. Give me a second here. My screen is not cooperating. There we go. All right, so we're going to learn how to use the ILS Modules Manual, which is brand new as of this past summer. We're going to learn how to incorporate the ILS into lessons or a program that you might design. And we're going to go through and learn how to make a few helpful ILS tools that you can use with your own students. So I have those with me today to show you, and they're really easy to make. So, all right. So our modules are 12 different modules. The first one is just the development module. It takes you through kind of the history and things like that of how we set it up. The next part is the kickoff meeting module, and that's going to be your main piece for going through and figuring out how to get started yourself on utilizing these modules. And then there are 10 different modules, things that are like cooking, cleaning, dressing, hygiene, labeling, organizing, all sorts of information for you there. And the modules, just so you know, they're not like just one set skill in each module. They're going to be kind of intertwined, so you'll have different pieces to each one. And then we have forms for you. They're all fillable, so you can utilize them, download them to your computer, use them multiple times. You'll be able to use them over and over and over. So that's all set up for you. I believe in not recreating the wheel if you don't have to. So we try to make it easy for you. And then there's a whole bunch of resources. So let's get started. Oops. Okay. So the first piece I want to show you is how to actually find these modules. They are going to be located at the mdelio.org website, and they're completely free. And I'm going to show you how you can find them. So give me just a second here, and I'm going to jump into our website. I'm just going to bring it in, pull it in. So you'll go to mdelio.org, and when you get there, you'll come in and it'll be a home screen. It'll look like this, okay? And then you'll go to the blind and visually impaired section. Probably many of you have done this before, I'm guessing. And you'll go to the expanded core curriculum section, and then you'll come down to the independent living skills section. Okay, so you'll click on that. Once you're there, you're going to see independent living skills. Then there will be a section on checklists. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then in the middle here, you'll find ILS modules. And you'll see that each one has its own little PDF hyperlink. So you'll be able to go into the development module, kickoff module, and modules 1 through 10, and then the resources. All of that is downloadable, and you can put it right on your computer or just visit it on our website. Okay. Go back out of that. All right, let's get back to. All right, so have any of you actually seen these or utilized these before? Go ahead and give me a thumbs up or yep in the chat, or just let me know, have you seen these before or have you used these before? I see a no. Okay, awesome, good. Oh, yay, Dory's seen them, awesome. All right, Dory, if you saw them, did you use them? Or Shelly, what did, and maybe you can even come off mute, let me know how you used them, because I'd love to know.
Hi, this is Dory.
Hi, Dory.
During distance learning, I had to recreate our living skills programming, and so I used some of the checklists and watched some of the modules to help me gain some ideas, because normally we'd be in like our living skills classroom and have everything available, and I was kind of like, without that, I was a little lost. So I used it, especially the checklists of like the ages. So I was like, what should my 4th grader know? And
Okay.
what does she know? And what should she know? And then like tried to work on things that she should be knowing by the end of 4th grade, because we had this whole school year where I wasn't seeing her at all. So we did, I roped her mom into being her living skills teacher to be there for safety while we were doing things on the computer. So we did like everything from cooking and organizing and talking about emergencies and stuff like that. And I used the checklists to kind of guide me.
Perfect.
And I'm sorry, I can't put on my video,
here.
but my internet doesn't support it.
You're fine. You're fine. Awesome. Now, I love hearing that because you used both components, the modules and the checklists together. And that's definitely what I would recommend doing, because it allows you to kind of gather some data and figure out where the student is and what their needs are, and then figure out what to use in the modules to help them learn what they need to learn. So awesome. Good. Anybody else want to share before we move into the development module? Give you a second. All right, let's move on. Okay, so the development modules, I'm going to give you just kind of a bit of a history of why the modules were created. So back in the early 2000s, some of you might know who Colette Bowman or Pat Love are. They were consultants for Michigan Department of Ed Low Incidence Outreach, and Colette went on to become the director for MDELAO, and then just recently retired in the last few years. So, and Pat Love still is a consultant with us. She still works with us at MDELAO. So they created an independent living skills parent partnership. And Colette and Pat, and then Lynn Pansari, another consultant who's since retired, partnered with skilled independent living skills instructors from around the state, so around Michigan, and a small number of school districts within Michigan to help families of children who are blind and visually impaired improve their daily living skills. So that's kind of how it started. The program was designed to empower parents and children to practice adapted techniques in their home environment after they were taught skills in a small group setting. So the school personnel who worked with the children also learned the adaptive living skills, and they gained the confidence that they needed to provide the critical instruction to the families independent of MDELIO. So they would go out and do this without us after they had the training. And then also they would work with the independent living skills trainers on occasion. Okay, so the instructors and families, they met as a group once or twice a month for about 2 hours or more on techniques and skills, and the families were asked to practice the new skills at home, because we all know that you can't do this one and done kind of idea. You know, you don't want to go in and just teach the concept and like, okay, you know how to tie your shoes when you've only done it once. Like that's just not acceptable. So anyway, they wanted the parents and the families to practice it. And that's kind of how the program progressed. It was, they would teach it, they'd have the families practice it. And the families were with children that ranged from anywhere from toddlers to teenagers. So we had a really nice wide range of people that would get together. And this worked really well because it created a network environment for the parents, as well as kind of a mentoring atmosphere. So you had, you know, a family member who had a child who was maybe a teenager, and then you had a family member with a child that was a toddler, and they were able to kind of collaborate with each other and learn from each other in that aspect. So at least one adult family member, a parent, a guardian, a grandparent, they were required to attend the program with their children. They couldn't just drop them off. You know, it was, you had to have a parent or a guardian with you, and then the child. So they both attended along with many of their instructors, and then the independent living skills trainers that would come in and help do the instructing. So that was kind of the design of it. Okay. So this Independent Living Skills Parent Partnership, or ILSPP, was really well received. But basically in the 14, whoops, sorry, gang. The downfall of having my notes on my screen. On the other one is if my cursor's on the PowerPoint, it makes it fly. All right, so very few districts were able to receive training in the 14 years that it was in existence, basically because we had only a limited number of trainers available, and we had to serve multiple districts at one time. And it's probably similar for you guys in California. I would imagine you have so many districts and you're limited to how many instructors you have.
Certainly true. Part of why we have these type of interfaces, right? To try to get the people we can't reach. Yeah.
Absolutely. So by creating an easy to follow program with sample lessons, templates, checklists, embedded trainings, basically more districts will have the potential to fulfill the ILS training needs for their students and families, but without the independent living skills team members having to be right there, you know, training them throughout. Not that that will necessarily go away. I think that we'll still have the ability to do some in-person independent living skills trainings and programming, but this just kind of alleviates the need for as many as what we were trying to accomplish. So, all right. So
it feels fantastic. I don't know, for our CSB staff, the rest of the people here are probably like, well, CSB has more staff, maybe they can get to you. It feels great for us to know that Michigan, which is a smaller population than California, also has trouble reaching out to everybody, because it is on the back of our minds, and a pain point for working in our outreach department is never quite being able to get to everybody.
It's so true, Adrian. And I think, you know, with the shortage in the number of teachers that we have, it just makes it that much more challenging, because we know what is needed. We know that the kids need this training. We know that the families need the training, and we know that we're capable of training them, but we don't have enough staff to do it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Yeah,
we frankly, speaking on behalf of all the other states, are thrilled that you decided to go this route because we aren't training independent
I love
living
it.
skills as an outreach function. So we're
Well,
counting on you
good.
for this.
Yay! I'm so glad. I'm so glad. So when we started working to create the ILS modules, we wanted to ensure that the information was easy to follow, that it would provide you with sample lessons, templates, checklists to keep you organized, and then have embedded videos for the trainings. And one of the pieces that you'll notice as you go through is I didn't create all the videos. We tapped into other videos that were in existence. I made a couple videos, maybe just 2 or 3. But we tapped into Washington State School for the Blind. They already had a number of videos. We tapped into YouTube. We tapped into what was in existence and just provided you an easy way to find it. You don't have to necessarily go searching for it. And it also kind of gives you the ability to think about, oh, what else do I need training on? And you can then start going, well, if Amanda could do this, I can do it. I can look for the next training video that I might need. Because believe me, you guys, I don't know all of the details of how to do everything, but I know how to look it up. And I'm sure many of you do that same, but we're trying to make it easier on you. So we tried to make some of it be just the things that you teach every day. And you're going to be like, how do I teach a kid to tie their shoes? Well, here you go. It's in here. So, all right, let me give you a little bit of research because sometimes you have to go to administrators and convince them that this is necessary. And I don't know if you guys have that in California, but in Michigan, I know that we've had where some administrators say, oh, well, why do you need this ILS stuff? Well, the research says we need it. So,
Sadly, I think that's universal.
I think it is too. So let's take a look at some of this research. In 1999, the National Association of the National Association of State Directors of Special Education, that's NASD, they expressed in the Blind and Visually Impaired Students Educational Service Guidelines that the traditional method of teaching ILS in general education it does not adequately prepare our students with a visual impairment. Thus, it created a need for a program that focused on adaptive skills. In addition to that, in 2002, there was a study of children ages 6 to 9 with visual impairments, and it said that they performed ILS at a significantly different level than their sighted peers. The students with typical sight performed all but 14.5% of the tasks that they were given, where children with visual impairments did not perform 41% of the tasks independently. That's a huge gap. So just keep that in mind. That came from Lewis and Iceland. Then in 2012, there was a review of 15 different studies on employability, and the authors shared that there's efficacy in implementing interventions for students in improving independent living skills. So this particular study kind of drives home that if we want our students to be employable, they need to have those independent living skills. You sure as heck do not want to go to your job that you get hired for because they all of a sudden say, all right, you are the right person. And you go to your boss and say, can you microwave my lunch for me? That wouldn't go over very well, would it? So just it drives home that importance. So as a result of the research and after expressed need for support in the area of independent living skills, the partnership with the local school districts and the families was formed to address the ILS needs of the children with visual impairments, with the intent to improve daily living skills for future employability. And that's what came out of that 2012 research. So there's research to support this program. It will hopefully help you to share some of that information with the administrators. All of this exists in the development module. So you can find that information there. All the research, like what I have in the slide here, you'll find in the development module. So you can just take it right to your administrators and show them, look, this this really is necessary. Okay. Any questions so far? Y'all are so quiet.
Yeah, anything more recent as far as research?
There's not a whole lot of recent research out there. If you want to go get your doctorate and start doing some of that, that would be amazing. I'm doing my doctorate right now, and I can tell you guys that there's not a lot of research on VI in general. There, you really have to do a lot of digging to find recent information. There's a lot of stuff right now out on coming out on the coronavirus. There's a lot of stuff on technology, but you won't find as much in independent living skills. You won't find as much probably in Braille right now. Maybe a little bit more recent because of the switch for UEB, but yeah, it's needed. We need more. So yeah, go do it. All right. So let's talk about how we use these modules. Super simple. You're going to go to the website. You can use this link. You'll have access to this. I'll make sure you guys have this. I showed you how to get there through the MDELIO website. You can download the modules or templates. Then you're just going to want to gather the team that you want to work with. You might want to do this on your own, but if you have a team, it's even better because you can work with more students at one time. Go through, figure out what skills you want to address, watch the trainings, and implement your program. That's basically how this runs. Obviously, there are some steps of getting funding, getting approval. All of that is going to be found in both your development module and then also the kickoff module. That'll have some more of it. So I'm seeing a few things in the chat. Let me take a peek real quick. Okay, I don't know who Dr. Brian Loon is. May, do you want to give us a little insight on him? I don't know who that is. All right, and I don't know if there's anything on Braille STEM. So, all right, good questions.
Oh, he's actually the one who just asked you about anything more recent in research.
Oh, sweet. I couldn't tell. I didn't know who was talking. Yeah. So thank you. Awesome. And yay for getting your doctorate. Good work. All right. So in the modules, you are going to find a fillable action plan. This will be in each module. So you'll find a fillable action plan. You'll find a changeable agenda. So again, you can go through and change stuff in it. There will be fillable rotations. So how the students move through the groups. So you can set this up where you have multiple students. We've done about 11 to 12 students at a time, but that's with several instructors. And you'll see that as you go through, you can see how many instructors are needed for each different station and things like that. You will have a staff agenda, an overview, grocery list. You'll find that to be very helpful because you don't have to sit there and figure out what your groceries are. If you follow the module exactly as written, everything's listed for you. There's a material list. You'll find that in, I believe, your development module, possibly the kickoff module. And you don't necessarily need everything on the list. You just need the stuff on the list that you're going to use for trainings. So you might be able to build your stash of supplies as you go. You might not have to buy all of it at once. So just keep that in mind. And if you do buy it all at once, if you were to go through and I think purchase everything on our list, I think it was like $700 some, somewhere in there. But you may increase that or decrease that depending on how many of each item you need. So keep that in mind too. You'll have the training tools, a setup plan. I put in a name tag guide. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but in Microsoft Word, you can actually go in and pull in your labels, design it right on Word and pick exactly like which which form you print it on and everything. I don't know if any of you have done that, but I can tell you, I never had to really make a whole lot of labels until I came to LIO. And then it was like, wow, this is so easy. Didn't know it was that simple, but I put that guide in there for you so that you can do that yourself as well. There's a task analysis in each one and a homework assignment in each one. All right.
I think, Amanda, your commenting on the name tag guide to me comments on this whole module and how easy you have made it for us to the point
good.
of guiding us to something that we probably wouldn't do, right? Like, which is label the kids' names to make sure all the adults in the room know who they are at all point and get them right and treat them with that level of respect they deserve. And perfect.
Let me tell you another trick to go with that, you guys. Okay, so if you do a program, let's say you set up a program and you decide, all right, every month we're going to meet, which will take you through probably 8 modules, 10 modules, depending on how long your school year is. Okay, you're going to meet every month. The parents or the guardian or whoever is attending with the child, that can change. So they make their own name tag when they walk in. They get a little sticky one. We put the markers out, we put the little sticky name tags out, they make their own. But the kids don't change, right? You have a set group of kids. So make their name tags and put them in one of those little plastic name tag holder things. Then get some sticky braille, okay? Braille on, whatever you guys use. Put that on your name tags, and each time you meet, put those name tags in alphabetical order clipped to a cardboard piece of paper, or like piece of cardboard. You can set those out. The kids actually go through, they find their own name tags because most of them can read their name in Braille.
Yeah.
And if they can't read it in Braille, it's in large print. Make your name tags large print so they can see them. And you just reuse those over and over and over for every single time you meet. I just keep that piece of cardboard with their name tags stored right in the binder that I carry with me. I always carry a binder with all of it printed out. All the information is with me so that I can show up, whatever team is training, I can say, okay, here's what we're working on today. They can refer to it. They know exactly their schedule. I also would go through and make signs for stations, station 1, 2, 3, however many you're doing. Have that and save that, laminate it, whatever. And then you put that up either with magnets or tape, wherever your stations are within the room. Then you don't have to recreate that every time. And if you're only doing 4 stations, you only put up 4 signs, but that way the families know where to go to direct those kiddos when you're doing your training. It is really amazing how much time goes into creating name tags and creating signs over and over and over for a program. So if you can just do that and then you have it, you might even have kids that repeat and take another training with you. Then you've got their name tags ready to go. So kind of a nice way to set it up and save yourself a little time. And the kids are doing something that's, again, independent. They're finding their own name tag. They're getting ready to roll. So it's kind of fun. Okay, we're going to take a look inside. Some of the modules you're going to find are set up with things that you wouldn't necessarily expect in them. So it's a good idea to kind of go through and take a look at each of the modules and find out really what's in them. For example, in module 3, we have information on brushing your teeth and marking bottles, but neither of those tasks are represented on the cover of the module. So it might just be helpful for you to look through and see what they look like. So I'm going to show you module 3. Give me a second here, we'll pull it up. All right, so you can see on module 3, it looks like they're doing some cutting activities, spreading activities, they're making toast, things like that. And there's more to it than just that. So you'll go in, notice you'll see here's your action plan. You can actually just click on that section, it'll take you right to it, okay? or you can scroll down, either way. So if you're on the computer, real easy to do. These are fillable. So when you're setting up your action plan with your team, you can say, all right, Amanda's gonna send out that action plan and agenda. You'll put her name in there. You're gonna say, all right, she's gonna do this. Maybe you're starting your first session on September 1st. So she's gonna do the agenda for it a month before maybe. And that's all spelled out for you too in the kickoff modules. How much time do you need to go through each of the different setups? Like if you're gonna start a project, you know, in August, you don't want to wait until, you know, July 30th to get started, you know, so this will walk you through kind of a timeline too. Same for getting approvals and all of that. Okay, so anyway, you'll go through, you'll put in your dates. So we could say, all right, she's gonna have this done by July 20th. And then it says completed with a question mark. So if you set it so that your one team member is keeping track of all this, then you're going to want to maybe share it on like a Google Drive or something like that so that you guys can all access it. But or one person they report to. So however you like to design that, you can do it. But completed, you can either put a check mark in there or put a date. I typically put a date. So, all right, so that gives you an idea. That's the action plan of what everybody is going to do, bring, whatever it may be for the actual program. Okay. Then there's an agenda. These are all set up for you based on how long it would take you to go through the specific module. Notice there are some times that are in here, but those times are changeable. So you'll just want to keep in mind, like, what is the time jump? So like 3:30, it's going to take about an hour and a half to get set up for this particular module. 5 o'clock, the parents show up. If you want to start your, you know, program on a Saturday and you're starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, that's your setup time. And then the hour and a half later is when the families would show up. So kind of gives you an idea of how that works. Again, you can change the times in the rotations. You'll notice at the top, you've got group 1 is preschoolers, group 2, elementary, group 3 is middle school or high school. I tend to kind of push those two together, but you can change it for however it works for your group of students. And then they'll be assigned to the stations and how much time the rotation takes. So for example, you can see on group 3, station 4, it says 30. That's going to take 30 minutes to complete that particular station. So they wanted you to know for sure that you knew that one takes at least 30 minutes. And actually, if you look down at the bottom at 6:45 in group 3, it says station 1 and 2. Well, that's a 15-minute station. So station 1 is 15 minutes and station 2 is 15 minutes because the other stations would be 30 minutes. So just gives you an idea of how it's laid out. And then it'll also be spelled out in the station overviews. It'll tell you how long each station is. Okay. All right. So then you have each station and it's spelled out exactly what you're supposed to set up at the station. And then how many instructors you need for that station to teach it based on the number of students you have. So this again was geared for 11 to 12 students. So it gives you an idea, you know, you're not going to want just one instructor for 12 students. That would be crazy. Don't try to do that. So, all right. So then you can see they're exploring hygiene. They're working on frosting and slicing. And it's also broken down based on the child's level. So you're not necessarily going to have a preschool student starting off with, you know, cutting things with a chef's knife and you're cutting carrots, and that would be too hard, right? So you want to break it down to be something a little more reasonable, something simpler for them. So then you might have them use a plastic knife, and you might cut a banana. So something simple. Okay. All right. Everybody still with me? Let me see where we are at. Give me just a second. All right. Your grocery lists are included. These, I designed them so you can check them off as you go. Here's my little trick for you. Don't go grocery shopping. You can do this. You can do this two ways. One, if you have mobility specialists who have students that need to do lessons with shopping, you could do it that way. Or two, we use the lovely grocery services. So over here in Michigan, we have Walmart, Meijer, and I think those are the two main ones. We just have our secretary actually order the groceries and set it up that an instructor goes and picks them up and they deliver them to their car. So I don't know if you guys have that in California. I'm assuming you probably have something like that, but that saves you from having to spend an hour and a half to 2 hours grocery shopping for all this. It is all collected, it's brought to your car, and it's all bagged up. You bring it right into the training facility and you're ready to roll. So on average, I think we spent for 12 students probably between $80 and $100 each session for food items or additional add-ons that we might need that weren't in our necessarily in our kits. So just keep that in mind. That's an added cost that you have to kind of factor in when you're going through setting this up. We always partnered with another district. So LIO would provide like the main materials and the district might pay for the food. So that was kind of one of the ways that we worked it with the districts. And then sometimes we covered the food depending on the district and if they could afford it. So
Amanda, I have a question.
Yeah.
You know, my wheels are turning and I'm daydreaming about short courses and collaborating and doing this with districts local and far. You keep referencing 12, and I get it that we need more than one teacher for 12. Like, have you established a ratio from doing this that makes sense? And can it go beyond
Yes.
12? Because there's always regardless of the ratio, there's always a too much number too.
Yeah. 12, remember, it's 12 kids and 1 to 2 parents per kid. So that 12 really becomes 24 to 36 people, and that's
Big room.
the instructors.
Yeah.
It's a big room. You have to have a room that's big enough to handle it. We tend to try to utilize a school's
Multi-purpose room or gym.
well, you could use that, but I would actually recommend using their home ec room if they have them.
All right.
Mostly because they'll have, or some of the special ed rooms will have, where they'll have a washer and dryer in there. They might have, we were really fortunate, one of the districts we worked with had a Murphy bed that like built into the wall that lays down so that you could work on like actually taking sheets on and off the bed. But the ratio of kids to teachers, you really don't want more than 3 kids per 1 teacher. That's about the extent that you can handle, especially when you get down to the little ones. We tried to stick to about three little people to 1 adult,
Right.
and their parents. So
yeah, their parents are there. So this is just the teacher spot checking and making sure they're on track.
Right,
yeah.
right. But I'll be honest, there's so much teaching that goes on by the instructor. The parents are sitting there, they're learning too. They have often no idea, or they feel like they have no idea how to help their child. Most of the time, we all know it's probably not rocket science, but they're nervous. They aren't sure. So keep that in mind. But once you've gotten through all the grocery lists and everything, you get to training tools. Okay, within those training tools, a lot of videos, there are checklists, there are descriptors like to walk you through how to do different things. So you might have learning to pour liquids, you might have how to carry trays and navigate a cafeteria. All of that's built into there. Okay, and it all reflects back to what the training is that you're doing for that specific module. All right. Here's your station setup plan, tells you exactly what to put at each station. And then there's your name tag section, okay, how to go through and actually create that. There might be recipes. I try to always incorporate cooking into every single module. You might be like, well, why do you do that? Because everybody eats every day, right? You might not make your bed every day. You might not shower every day, but by golly, you eat every single day. So you need to know how to make something. We try to do things that are easier for the young children and then progressively get harder. I like my very first session to be one where they actually go through and put together lunch for their next day. So the kids might meet on a Thursday night. They all put together, they make a sandwich, and it could be a meat sandwich where they're just stacking, or it could be one where they have to spread stuff like peanut butter and jelly or something like that. Anyway, you'll go through, you do that. They practice putting it into the baggies. They put it into a paper lunch sack that you have already labeled with their name on it, possibly also in Braille, so that they know which one is theirs. And that activity has become really a favorite for the start. And then every kid that next day gets to take the lunch that they made. So they're super proud of it. They made it. It goes with them to school. So that's how I would start my program every time. If you're looking for like, where do I begin? That's what I would do. We have a recipe for just making scrambled eggs. And you don't have to use a stove to make scrambled eggs. You can make it in the microwave, right? How to mark your microwave, okay? And you can give these as handouts to the parents. You can go through, print off, like marking the microwave, give them the wiki sticks to go home with them, give them, a bump dot to go home with them so that they can just go home and do it right away. Set them up so that they can be successful and they don't have to purchase it. We almost always gave a giveaway. Every single session, find something from what you're training to give away, and it's a big motivator. And then there's homework. So they have to go through and accomplish something, and then you can either give prizes for those that did it or just check it off like, yep, they did it. I will tell you that the homework piece kind of falls out the window sometimes. So find a motivator to keep it coming back. And that would return then the next session when you guys meet up again. So, all right, let me close that out. Any questions so far? Looks pretty quiet in the chat, so that's good.
Your hours there were proposed. You had mentioned doing them on like the weekends. Like, have you had success with evening workshops and parents attending?
We have more success with evenings than weekends. And I don't know if that's just a Michigan thing, but I think families are pretty committed on the weekends, where an evening, if they have, if they know that it's the fourth Thursday of every month, they might be more likely. And I liked Thursday because that gives me Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to actually be able to touch base with the families. I text every single family the night, actually the Monday before, to check to see if they're coming. And if I haven't heard back, I check in on Tuesday. And if I haven't heard back, I check in on Wednesday until hopefully we've heard from all of them. We had pretty good attendance. Usually the first 4, we have really strong attendance, and then it starts to kind of fizzle a little bit. So, but we never had fewer than 4 families. So I think that's pretty decent for a group.
Amanda, is this available in other languages? You know, this guide?
No, no, it's a great question, but nope, just this one.
That would be awesome if somebody went ahead and translated some of this, especially in Spanish, you know.
You know how to do that, Brian? You can do that.
Unfortunately, my Spanish skill is un poquito.
Oh, yeah, mine too. That's about it. Taco?
A good comment, though, Brian. That's a good thing for us.
I think it's
to know in
fantastic.
the back of our mind, like as our contracts are expiring, is there leftover money on a contract? There's a bug me in the end of every summer, Amanda, if we have leftover money on our contracts.
I love it. I love it. Oh goodness, no, I wish. But no, as I said, we just launched this summer. It was a project that I had hoped to work on throughout the summer, and then I decided to do a big training in the fall. And so they said in order to do that, I had to have it ready by like July. So it didn't go through the summer. I had to crank it out fast. So I did. So the modules, they're designed to basically help you create a full program. And if you don't have time for a full program, they're great for individual lessons too. Okay, so don't feel like you have to use this only for a big group. Use this for daily lessons. I often, when I was teaching, would incorporate a little piece of independent living skills into every lesson if I could. And I also used it as a big reward. So if a student, finally accomplished a task on their note taker that they've been working on, by golly, that next session, we were cooking. Do something fun to use it as a reward. Kids love ILS as a cooking or as a reward. So, but you can have small cooking activities, shoe tying, folding activities. There's larger activities for the groups, for bigger things that they can make, bigger recipes. They might go through and fold an entire load of laundry. You can work on dressing skills. You can work on grooming skills. I mean, the sky is the limit with this. It really, there's a lot that you can do. So, okay, let's see what we're getting here. I don't know why it's, all right. I mentioned that there's the ILS checklists for MDELAO. Those checklists, I'm not going to go into the details of it, but if you take a look, they're broken down into preschool, elementary age, middle school, and high school levels. You can go through, you can see the age levels that, that they correspond with as far as being able to complete that activity. So just make sure that you check those out. They're same website, same location. You'll go in, you can look at the checklists. The cool piece is there'll be a grade box for the age level that the child should be able to accomplish a task. But then it also goes in, like, let's say preschool is the age where they want to accomplish a task. There will also be a piece where it goes on beyond to elementary, middle school, high school, because kids develop at different stages. So they might not be able to tie their shoes by the time they're in second grade. It might take them until 5th grade or 6th grade, but you can still document when they've accomplished it. So just keep that in mind. Okay. The other really important thing that I want you to know is that there's absolutely no one right way to instruct in ILS. You might have one teacher that teaches one method and another teacher that teaches another method. Have both instructors teaching. A child might be successful with one method versus the other. That's the one you go with. Don't worry about, if their way of tying shoes is unconventional, no big deal. So try different approaches. And my big thing that I mentioned to you before at the very start is it's not one and done. You've got to repeat, and you're going to find in the modules that I do that. I go through, and you might find shoe tying in one module and you might find it again in another module. That's a reminder to you to come back to it, to not forget it. Okay, so, all right, let's see here.
Really appreciate that slide and comment, Amanda. I know from my own experience in my position, I get a lot of teachers being like, so what resource, what method should I use? And I remind parents and think to myself, like, the number one people teaching independent living skills to blind and visually impaired kids have little to no education. It's the moms, dads, and family members who have figured it out. And for us to
That's
use
exactly right.
the knowledge we have and to try is what's most important, right? Quit avoiding it and just let's do it.
Just do it. Yeah, don't be afraid of it. Like, just jump in and just do it. All right, I'm gonna show you 3 different things tonight that you can utilize. These are not something that I came up with, but they are something that I found that all of them are super helpful. Instead of actually jumping into the videos and stuff, there are some videos that go along with this. I'm just going to show you because I have my stuff right here with me. So the first one is, let's see if I can get it here. I'm going to stop sharing so you guys can see me a little bit bigger here. Okay. So the first one is a folding tool. You probably have heard of the commercial flip and fold. Anyway, you can make your own. Don't buy one. They're so easy to make, and it just takes 6 equal pieces of cardboard. I've made a tiny one so that I can show you on camera. It's 6 pieces of cardboard. You're going to use duct tape across the middle to adhere all of them together. And then you'll use 2 smaller pieces of duct tape to attach the top. And so basically you've created this flip and fold that'll bend. Okay, all the little pieces move. And let me set it down so you can see on the table. All right, so Adrian, let me know. Can you see this fairly well?
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. Okay, so I've created a modified little fake t-shirt so I can show you guys this mini t-shirt here. Okay, so this is a flip and fold. So I've set my t-shirt on the flip and fold. The collar's up at the very top. I created a short sleeve side and a long sleeve side so I can show you how to work with both. So the long sleeve, you're going to fold in your sleeve just so that it sits to the edge of the cardboard so that it's not flopped over. Okay, and then you're just going to fold. You fold one side over, fold the other side over, and flip your bottom up, flip over your shirt, and it's all folded, ready to go. Okay, so that's your flip and fold. We've had really great success with this. Students get so excited. We had one little gal, I think she was about 5th grade, had never folded her own clothing, and she made this with her instructor. And the rule was with the instructor was she was never supposed to like leave the instruction without permission to like, and this was all via Zoom. Okay, so they were doing this during the quarantine. So anyway, she ran out of the room to show her mom. She was so excited she could hardly contain her excitement that she had folded her own shirt. To answer questions about what size, so I have in videos, I got this from another video. It will tell you the size for an adult. I believe it's an adult size t-shirt. I typically will make my own, come up with about the right size for a kid's shirt or whatever size person you're working with. You can do this with baby shirts. So this particular one would be like probably about a kindergartner size. And I think, boy, these panels are about 6 to 7 inches each. And you can do them as squares or just a little bit taller for height and then a little shorter. But you're just gonna size up your shirt to it. So when you put the shirt with it, the top of the shirt and the bottom of the shirt will go together. So that kind of gives you an idea. Or like, so the bottom of the shirt goes to the bottom of the cardboard, the top of the shirt to the top of the cardboard, and then just cut it in half from there. That'll give you your size. And then you just want the shoulder pieces, like the middle piece is gonna be the size of your cardboard. So your shoulders are gonna be the width of that cardboard on the shirt. So hopefully that answers, because you're gonna do different sizes for each kid. That way it works well for them and they don't feel like, oh, this is so big, because the commercial one is huge.
So you're making this flip and fold with the kids when you're in person.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
you might have the cardboard already cut out.
Yeah, they're sizing
Have
it.
them tape it together, have them help you size it. I mean, there's no reason that you couldn't. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be super fun. So that's one. Let me get another one for you. All right. So
Fine. We're ready.
now let's talk about laundry a little bit. Okay, so I have with me just a laundry bottle. It could be any laundry bottle, but this isn't the important part. This is just how I take it to the laundry. Okay, so you might have a jug of laundry, and this is a template. So let's say your student doesn't live in a place where they do laundry in their house. Maybe they live in an apartment building. Maybe they have to go to a laundromat. Well, you aren't going to go and mark those machines, right? That's public material. You aren't going to put a template, or you aren't going to put high marks or something that, you know, is tactile on those machines because they're not theirs. But you can create a template. So if you have a machine that has a dial in the front where you would turn that dial to your settings, you can actually create a template. And so the template, let me see if I can flip in my PowerPoint to a spot to show it to you clearer. Yeah, I can. Let me do this. Okay. So this is going to tell you exactly how to make it. So you're going to cut a circle out of cardstock, okay? And you're going to mark the template with either Wiki stick or hot glue or paper clips or puff paint, whatever you've got on hand. You can use bump dots. And then you use either Braille or large print, and you're going to put in what the settings are. And you only have to put the settings that the student typically uses on this template. And then you put it around the knob. Now, mind you, you're going to have gone ahead of time to check out the machines that they use so that you have an idea of what machines they use and what the settings are. And then you just create this, and they can then set their own machine. The only thing you might have to do, like this particular machine, it's got multiple little divots on it. You might have to talk with them about, you know, it's the top divot. Whenever you have your knob set up, it's the top divot that you would turn to match up with the marking. But anyway, this is a template that you can easily make, and they take it with them to go do their laundry, and it's easy. You could do it with a dryer as well. And then you just teach them, like my particular washing machine has a little play button. You would teach them where their play button is. This one happens to fall right where the edge of the template is, so it works well. But super easy, and you just make it yourself. So give that a try. All right, so do you know what the #1 ILS skill is? I'm gonna have you guys put it in the chat. What is the #1 ILS skill that people ask me about? I didn't tell you. But what do you think the #1 ILS skill is that people ask me about is? So far, nobody has it. I see showering, bathroom, sewing on a button. I do get bathroom quite often, but that's not it. I might have alluded to it a couple times today. Cutting with knives, nope. Grooming, nope. Teeth brushing, nope. Making a bed, nope. Pouring water, nope. Baking, nope. Oh, shoe tying, there it is. Stephanie, you get the golden nugget today. Good work. It is shoe tying. All right, so have my running shoe. I'm going to show you, there are 2 videos that you can check out that are in the PowerPoint. And Winnie, I'll send this PowerPoint to you or Adrian so you guys can share it. But okay, so shoe tying. There are 2 components to shoe tying that you need to know about. The first one is what these little things are called. Anybody know what the little ends of the shoelaces are called? Anybody know? I love best shoe tying tip, Velcro. No.
I heard it too. Oh,
Yes,
look
the
at
aglet.
that.
Yay, yay.
Bam.
Andrea, you are so smart. Aglet. These are aglets. All right. Now let's see who else can get it. What are the little holes called? The eyelets. Beautiful. Awesome, Dory. Good work. Okay. So I'm going to set my camera so you can see my shoe. What you're going to do. Okay. And have I stopped sharing? I think I did, right, Adrian? Did I stop sharing other than you can see my shoe, right?
Yeah. Yes, we see your shoe.
All right.
We're
Here's my
all ready to be foiled because we all invested in the crazy
Okay.
no tie shoelaces and Velcro and everything.
Okay. So you are going to take the aglet and you're going to insert it in the eyelet right where the shoelace comes out. Okay. And your student can feel where the shoelace comes out. They're going to push their aglet into the eyelet. You make a loop. Okay. You see there's a loop. Then we're going to do it on this other side. Same thing. You're going to take the aglet and push it into the eyelet. Now, I'm not going to tell you that this is going to happen overnight. I would plan on a good solid month of working hardcore on this, okay? So you have 2 loops, all right? Watch and learn, very, very easy. Cross the loops, okay? And pull. So we just tucked one under and pulled. Now you have still 2 loops, right? And it's tied at the shoe. You're going to, again, cross those loops, tuck one under, and pull, okay? Your shoe is tied. All you do now is you can pop out those aglets right out of the eyelets, and bam, your shoe is tied. Okay, simple. It works. It's basically like a double knot, so it doesn't come undone. And you untie it by grabbing at the knot. So you're going to grab at the knot and just loosen the knot. Done. Okay, super simple. It works. We've had kids that didn't know how to tie shoes for years and years and years, and they can do this. So don't plan on it being done in one lesson. It does take time, just like everything else. But I can tell you, if you have that student practice for 2 minutes, every single lesson, 2 minutes until they've got it, they'll have it. It will happen. It's much easier than figuring out, how do I wrap this string around? How do I push it through that little tiny hole? Like, you don't have to worry about that. So it's a little unconventional, but as I said before, there's no one right way, right? And so you get the job done. It works. There's a video, a YouTube video that is included in the PowerPoint. So you'll be able to see that, and it'll show you again. So if you're not sure how to do it, this little guy, he's adorable. He does it for you. So very fun. I think, let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to mention to you guys. That's it. Check out all of the modules. There's so many. And there's so many skills. The resources also include other ideas for lessons. So if you have something that's in one of the modules that you're like, our kids don't really need that. They probably do, but let's say you don't need that. Go to the resources section, get some more ideas. You can do lessons online. It takes a little more effort to think through it and plan it. But you might be able to send them like a small set of groceries that you would utilize for making, something as a group via Zoom or whatever it may be. So, don't be afraid to try that as well. The worst that's going to happen is it doesn't turn out. That sometimes when we cook as adults, it doesn't turn out. That's okay. So anyway, thought you guys might enjoy that. And I'm hoping that you can utilize some of the make and takes for your kiddos. Any questions? I'm seeing still some also unties. If you pull strong on each aglet. Oh, very cool. Lace locks. Good. Love it. All right. Other things. You guys are so quiet.
I'll tell you though, the proof is in the pudding. This was one of our best stays for people. They weren't dropping off as the thing went on. They were ready
I'm
for
so
what you had
glad.
to say. That was awesome.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you guys were here. It was a lot of fun. It is 7:40 Michigan time. I've been going 12 hours so far.
We appreciate the heck out of it. We would love to have you back next year to do something else.
Yay, awesome. I'd love to.
This was really, really neat.
Awesome. I'm so glad you guys liked it. Yeah, but please check out those modules. When you get an opportunity to actually do something with them, I would love to hear back from you guys, what you've tried, what worked, what didn't work. I always want to know what didn't work because that allows me to know how to make things better. So yeah, please be sure to shoot me a message. Let me pull up my email for you. 1 second, I'll share it. I'll actually type it in the chat for you too.
You got a whole stream of thank yous and wonderful,
thanks,
and you're
guys.
amazing.
Thank you.
Please come back, Amanda. Fabulous. Word. I agree.
I love it.
So much good stuff. I think, and people to re-emphasize what Amanda just said, it's presented so nice on their website and it's presented so professionally that we forget how few people are behind everything in our field. And so please, not just the accolade, but the ways to improve, and the feedback is so appreciated for everybody.
Absolutely. It has been such a pleasure to present to you guys, and I really wish you all the best in your ILS journeys, because I know that it is hard as a teacher to figure out the time just to even fit some of that in, but man, incorporate it into your lessons. Write recipes on your note takers, make things as rewards, find time to, mark your teacher's lounge microwave. That's always a hoot. Bring the kids in and let them cook something, do a cake in a mug. That's a really fun thing for their birthdays, and kids just totally dig it. So yeah, get out there, do as much ILS as you can, incorporate it into everything that you do, because that really is what makes or breaks a student, and it's what promotes their employment. So we all know that the job market is rough for our students, and the more we can give them the skills to be successful out there, the more that they're going to hopefully make it, and that's what we want.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda.
Hey, my pleasure. So good to see y'all.
For sure.